Hello, I am Audrey Mackey. Welcome to Long Days Big Love podcast. I am joined today with my friend Kayla. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here. You know, this episode I really wanted to focus on when someone just gets it, right? You're raising kids, you know, with special needs and varying abilities, and you just find your people and you just get it. So thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. You and I have a interesting relationship. We both have children with a rare form of epilepsy called Lennox-Gastaut Syndrome. We met several years ago at this point. We met through a mutual friend, through kind of Children's Hospital.
Yep.
And she had mentioned to me, hey, I met this woman and it sounds like her son is like just like Michael. Like, can I give your number? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then we went from there.
Yeah.
And it has been a joy to have you in my life.
Same.
For sure. So why don't you explain to our audience a little bit about Grant and your journey, you know, with him?
Okay. So Grant is now 8, almost 9 in October, and we have been dealing with his, I'll just say LGS for short.
Yes.
Since we found out around like 15 months old. And our story is very much like yours. I feel like as I see things, I'm like reliving my days. Grant is the third boy of the family, followed by a sister later.
Same.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he started with seizures, what we now look back and call infantile spasms, but didn't exactly know what was going on then, and started to have drop seizures. And then we ultimately got his diagnosis around 15 to 18 months. And at that point in time, we had seen some regression along the way. So he also has global developmental delay and autism. And while we continue to kind of struggle with all of those things, but also find our blessings in them, that's kind of just where we're at now. We have him enrolled in an approved private school where he gets multiple therapies, and we're endlessly grateful for those. They've helped him a lot, and yeah, he's our blessing and the one that keeps us on our toes the most.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Absolutely. And those early days are so like blur is the best way that I can like really describe it to people. Yes. I think, you know, when you have two moms raising children with the same rare diagnosis, you kind of learn about these invisible realities that nobody else sees. And when you were talking about like how he had these like infantile spasms, that was something that like came up when I Googled originally when Michael was doing, you know, his thing. So when Michael, he was about the same age too, like 15, 18 month range, and doing the head drops. And we just thought it was like this weird quirk. And I will never forget. Like,
I thought Grant was like falling asleep sitting up.
Yeah. It was just like, it's like, oh, that's weird. Like, why are you doing that? You already have 2 kids. Like, you think you kind of see stuff like, oh, you're just quirky.
Yep.
And for us, you know, going to the pediatrician and telling them that and not having a recording of it, not, you know, seeing anything. And they're like, yeah, you know, sometimes. And of course, they don't do it there for anybody else to see when you need them to see it. That the infantile spasms was one of the things that kind of came up that I was like, And then you start like Google doctor, which I don't like to be.
Sure,
I don't like to be a Google doctor.
Yeah, same.
I'm not a professional and I'm not going to pretend to be a professional, but I was like, red flag. Like it started to kind of go up. And then you go in, and for us, it was called the pediatrician again and said, listen, I looked this up and this is what I think it is. And they were like, you need to go see neurology. And I will never forget when we walked into that office and he was doing them. Yeah. And they were like, we're admitting you right now. And I think, you know, Pat and I looked at each other and we were like, huh? Like, you're just like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think we thought it was anything as serious as what it became.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Same. So I, having a medical background, knew that something was not right. Yeah. And I continuously said something is not right. And my medical background aside, I had 2 typically developing children who weren't making these weird movements.
Yes.
And so I kept thinking, this just doesn't look right. So I kept pushing, and we actually did see neurology. And the first time we actually saw neurology, they thought he was just having like steropathies of some sort.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, then I started to think maybe I am actually crazy. But as it continued, it actually took me getting it on video and sending a message to one of the fellows at work, thank goodness, and just said, this is what Grant's doing. I know that it can't be right.
Yeah.
And she said, I want you to come in for a 24-hour EEG like the following Monday. And we weren't in there and hooked up to the EEG, but a couple of hours when she came in and said, oh yes, he's seizing all the time.
Yeah. And that's what it was for us too. It was the same thing that they were like, because we were like in the office, right?
Yeah.
Like in children's, and they were like, we're admitting you right now. And they're like, we're going to hook you up. And I never had experience with an EEG.
Sure.
I didn't really even know what it was. Like, laughingly now, like, I'm like, isn't that with your heart?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, no, that's an EKG. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they hook up, no joke, like 60 little probes on your tiny little baby's head
Yep.
with this glue that smells like you're like
Awful.
the orthodontist, like getting your like braces glued on. And you were just holding him down, and it's just this whole experience. And then they come back in, they're like, oh yeah, he's seizing all the time.
All the time.
Like, even though you're seeing like a head drop or a stare episode or something like that. And I think for me too, the ignorance of it, of when I hear epilepsy or I hear seizures, I immediately think of people falling to the ground and convulsing.
Sure.
That's the first thing my brain goes to, that I'm like, oh, well, no, he doesn't have epilepsy. Like, what?
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh no, there's so many different forms of this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh yeah, he's seizing in his sleep. And I was like, what? Like, we were just blown away. And I think that initial diagnosis of it, and then they, with Michael, they gave him medication intravenously, and then he was just kind of out.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like days. Like, I mean, he was just, because they had to stop them. Because I think the thing that people may not understand too is that with seizures and with epilepsy, it has like such an effect on your brain.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You want to stop that over electricity, too much stuff going on, because that then
brings cognitive delay.
Yes. And development and all of this other stuff. So having that, all of this information thrown at you when your child is so little is just so overwhelming.
Totally. Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like you and I also share a little bit, like, obviously you have a medical background. So like terminology wise and things like that, I worked in a pediatric outpatient therapy center for years. So I had an idea about like this service world and like things like that.
But you don't know.
What is it like when it's your own kid?
Yeah.
Like, what was going through your mind when you're going through this same process and they're telling you like your child is seizing all the time and here's what you have to do? I felt like for myself, everything just went blank. Like, what was it like for you?
I'll never forget, I was by myself when they came in to tell me that he was seizing all the time. Mm-hmm. And I had anticipated knowing that there was something going on in his sleep because he had never slept.
Yes.
He just did his head drops and myoclonic jerking all night long. And so I knew that part I was prepared for. But when they came in and said he was seizing all the time and that he had epilepsy, in my medical mind, I was like, oh, this is okay. Like, I can deal with epilepsy. He can get on some medicine. His seizures are going to get controlled. These people go on to live some, reasonably normal lives. Same thing as you. He's not on the ground convulsing.
Yeah.
And we can do this. Like, this will be okay. Life will, it will change, but life will continue. And I think it wasn't until he started medicine and he continued to get worse despite medicine. Mm-hmm. And then we saw the developmental delay and words that he had once said he was not saying anymore. And I thought I would never hear him say mama ever again. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really was like, oh, this isn't just epilepsy. Mm-hmm. This is the rest of our life. And this is who Grant might be. Mm-hmm. Or we don't know what Grant is going to be. And are we ever going to get control? And I think it was actually a little bit later that I was just like, oh, this is more than definitely what I thought. And so, I think that was the biggest thing. In that moment, I just like had my guard up. I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Right.
This has nothing to do with what I thought I was going to be dealing with. But, over time, we just adjust. And So I think that was probably the biggest thing. I thought, I too was shocked. I didn't, even having a medical background, and I knew he was doing something odd and making movements that he shouldn't be doing. It was actually, I had sent the email to our neurologist after I finally had caught it on tape, but it was actually, thank goodness for her, I think about her all the time, our early intervention developmental therapist that was at the house, that she was just working with him, and she saw his head go down, and I said, did you just see that? And she said, I did. And I was like, what is that? She said, I don't know, but fortunately she had a daughter who had epilepsy.
No way.
And she said, Kayla, we're part of, the Western PA Epilepsy Association. And I know that while my daughter doesn't do this, there are kids who have seizures, and they call them drop seizures, and they kind of look like that. And she's like, I'm not here to scare you. Yeah. I am not a medical professional, but I agree that that is odd. And if you can catch it, you should probably show somebody that. And that was kind of like what gave me that extra push to say, okay, if it means I'm going to follow you around and video you for the entire day until I catch this, that's what I'm going to do.
1,000%.
And then kind of developed from there. But had she not said that, who knows?
I know. And that is like, talk about trust your mother instinct.
Yeah, totally.
Never doubt your mom gut, because I feel like I did with Michael, because the pediatrician brushed it off. No. And I don't blame them for that. Because there was nothing for them to see. You have a mom saying, my kid's doing this weird head thing that they've never done before, and it is what it is. But it was one of those things that and I even said to Pat, I even said to my husband, I was like, something's not right. That just doesn't, and he's like, I know. He's like, but I don't know. It's just something that he does.
Yeah.
And, just be the pesterer, be the person asking the questions, and do that. And then even after that initial, because Michael was in the hospital for about a week when he first initially got diagnosed and everything like that. I was literally with a camera on him 24/7 for years at that point. It was 2 years solid that I should have got a GoPro or something like that just to put on him at this point, because you wanted to capture it. You wanted to make sure they saw it, because you never want somebody to question you again.
Yeah.
I know what I saw. Mm-hmm. I know what this is. And it really, I have such an appreciation for the professionals, and we are incredibly fortunate to have the same physician's assistant since day one with Michael. Mm-hmm. Shout out Kristen Jarvis at UPMC.
She is fabulous.
Neurological department there. She has been with him since literally day one. And I am so, so grateful for her, because she is the type of practitioner that you could dream about. She believes you. She understands. She hears you. She listens.
Yep.
I just hope that everybody has
someone
care member teams, because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you really do have to advocate for your child, especially in the special needs community.
Absolutely.
Whether it's with schools or therapy services or whatever it is, it's refreshing when you have somebody who's just been along on the journey with you the entire time. I think people don't quite understand the spectrum of caretaking with a child with varying needs and abilities. And I know with ourselves, Michael's our darter. Michael is constantly
gone in a second,
on the move. And I believe it's the same for Grant. They just don't stop. They don't have the capability to stop moving. Mm-hmm. And it is either Pat or myself that are on top of that kid 24/7.
Absolutely.
Because, and people
cannot
are like, well,
leave your eye for 1 second.
No. And people are like, well, what do you mean? You can't just let him. I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what does he do? And I'm like, everything. What doesn't he do? You have to constantly monitor them. Mm-hmm. And it's, Michael's mobility was rough for many years. I
remember.
And because his drop seizures were so severe that he was towards the end before the brain surgery was in a constant state of just bent over. So he was either bent over, falling over. He was wearing a helmet 24/7 because you don't want damage to happen if they fall, and because he can't control it. And you never know when it's going to happen. And so once the seizures got under control after the surgery and he rehabbed back from that, he was really mobile, and he was like, look what I could do.
Yeah.
Here I go. But it is just, you cannot leave his side. He's going to put stuff in his mouth. Yep. He's going to climb on things. We've got to the eloping phase.
We have so many locks on the inside of our house. It's wild.
We've recently added like the upper hooks
Same.
to the screens. So we have those now, which Mackenzie, our 2-year-old, hates. She's like, open, open, open.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because I think you want to bust Michael out is
Yeah.
what you're trying to do. Because Michael comes over and he looks and he's like,
How can I get that? Yeah.
Yes. And we're fortunate enough that he's shorter, that he can't quite reach him. What are you guys doing now? Because Grant has grown taller exponentially lately.
taller.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
really hit it.
He has. Yeah, he's a big boy. So we also have locks up high, and then people who come over are like, what is this? So from our garage to to come in the house, we have a keypad
Okay.
that's backwards. So essentially, normally you would put it in to get into your house.
Yes.
We have a code to get out of the house.
Makes sense.
Because he would be in and out of there all the time.
Yeah.
And the front door where we have the big lock, he just will pull and pull and pull, but he doesn't do that one as much because the balls are not out the front door, they're out in the garage.
Yeah.
So, and then we have 2 locks on our sliding glass door, and one is up high so that he can't, even though he can do this, he can't open up there. Locks in all the bathrooms. He is obsessed with water.
Yep. Same.
Any moment he can get his hands on a sink, either something or himself is in it, particularly the iPad that he has a lot.
Nice.
So we keep those stocked up in our house. But yes, he will immediately try to get out. And then we actually got a fence for him, which I was thrilled about, so he can have a safe place, and we can leave the sliding glass door open for him to go in and out in the summer. But it's a 6-foot fence, and it has like the plunger top. And so he now is just getting to the point where he can start to reach it. And so just last summer, I said to Brian, like, he's watching the boys. He's always watching them.
Oh, they always know.
Yeah. And so we're going to have to do something, but it is, as you know, too, the older kids, gets harder with them too, just reminding them the bathroom door has to stay closed and locked. The fence has to be closed, whatever. And so last year we actually got those like rubber bicycle things that you have to put the 3 code pad
like
in
padlock
or whatever
kind of thing.
Yeah. And that actually goes around the door of the fence so that the boys can easily put the code in.
If you ever need like ingenuity, talk to a special needs mom.
Yep.
Because she's going to figure it out.
Yep.
Like she's going to know how to solve this.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, I don't care how many non-destructible things that are like, oh, this is great. Yeah, Michael's going to break that in like 2 seconds.
Yep.
So we need something else. And then you just make it yourself.
Someone recently, this is like so random, but I had got out my card to use the other day, and someone was like, wow, what happened to your card? I'm like, oh, my son, it was on the table. He totally just like folded it in half, and now I can barely get it in or tap it when I need to. But anything that he can get their hands on.
And I think that is in case what I talk about with this like invisible diagnosis type of thing. People don't know.
Yep.
No, nobody has any clue. Like you can wear a smile on your face and go on through your day, but unless you're living it, you have no idea what these families are going through. I think for us to like talking about the dynamics of the family and things along those lines, like I have definitely gone through like ups and downs with the siblings and things like that, because us, like you, and it's uncanny how much alike we are.
Yes,
like
agree.
We are like the kids are the younger versions of your kids.
Yes.
And you know, we have 2 typically developing boys that are the older siblings that have just had to, I go through a lot of guilt with that. And I know you do too. The hardest part
for me.
Because it's like, you know, you have this expectation now that they just have to adapt, because it's like, and I've tried so hard lately to slow down a little bit, especially in these like ending days of school and things like that, when like William especially is like asking for help with homework, but Michael's having a meltdown, and I'm like, I'm helping Michael right now, can't you see what I'm doing? But then in my mind I'm like, why did I say that to him? Like I don't want to like invalidate him, but like you're just so in the moment with stuff. And it's like I have such a high expectation for my 10 and 8-year-old to just be fine.
Totally.
And then those little balls of sunshine daughters come along after, and man, do they Mackenzie is 2 now and is a ball of energy and fire. But I tell you what, And you told me this at one point in time, the amount of love and mothering she does with Michael. Michael is her Momo.
Okay.
She can't quite say Michael, so she says Momo.
Oh.
And she does everything for Momo. We get Momo up. Momo needs his binky. Momo needs his blinky. Let's go. Momo, Momo, Momo. And it is so true. Like,
Yep.
she just has taken to him like no other. And I think that's the same case
Same for us. Yeah.
with you guys, too.
Yeah.
And just navigating that sibling dynamic. It's a tough one, but how do you guys do it? Because your kids are a little bit older now, too.
It's definitely the hardest for me.
Yeah.
And I anybody who would ask me, like, what is it like when I go to these conferences? It is the siblings that gets me, because I just don't want them to think their life is Grant.
Yeah.
Or that my life is Grant.
Yeah.
And I think as they have gotten older, and your boys are very active too, all parents, even with typically developing kids, are going in multiple directions. Right. But as my boys have gotten older, and I think we're finally maybe starting to get to the other side of this a little bit, but during those early preteen years, you know, Grant does look normal to some degree, but is 8 and still in a diaper. And why is he in this chair all the time? And why is he making these noises? And friends start to ask things, and he's yelling during a game and causing ruckus, and they don't want any more attention brought to them.
Yeah.
And so we've had to do a lot of splitting up for their things, because one, Grant is not as happy and content doing those things as he used to be. We used to be able to put him in a chair and he'd be content and happy, and that's not really the case anymore, because he wants to run and be all over the place.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, they don't always want him to be there bringing all that attention. And so trying to navigate that has been really hard. And I will say, like, my 15-year-old has always done a little bit, I don't want to say better, that's probably not the right word, but had more connection and been more understanding to Grant's diagnosis as a whole. I think because he remembers Grant seizing as much as he was. And so it's easier for him to think his brain is not normal because I was walking around telling mom when he was falling on the ground all the time.
Right.
My 13-year-old, not as much, because he just, I think, doesn't remember that as much, but is starting to come around to, I have a brother who has special needs, and be a little bit more open. But the amount that I feel like we miss of their life having to divide and conquer is, I have a ton of guilt about, and I just hope that they don't ever look back and think like, oh, my mom or dad missed all of these things because of their brother. But that's definitely what I struggle with the most. But we're getting there.
Yeah.
It's coming around.
It's an everyday struggle, I think, for many, many people who have kids with varying abilities and varying needs. And I think that is why it's so important that, like, communities matter, whether it is a online organization, special needs support groups, sibling support groups, different things along those lines. But also, I know myself, I go to therapy, you know, I take care of my mental health, because if I don't, like, I'm not going to be any good for anybody else. And, you know, in talking with my therapist too, like, it is almost like it was just such a traumatic thing that happened. And it's like, you can grieve these things that you thought your life was going to be. You thought you were going to be able to do all this stuff with all your kids, and you know, that you wouldn't have to make the hard choices and divide yourselves and stuff like that. But you can be very grateful for what you do have.
Absolutely.
And the small wins and the big wins and all of that other kind of stuff. And I think that kids are very resilient. I think that growing up, you know, I try to look at it myself as siblings of kids with special needs are so fortunate because of everything that they have to go through. It builds such a stronger character. Absolutely. You can't duplicate that. You just can't. And I think it has made my children so much more patient, so much more understanding and accepting. And I am very grateful for that. I am also sad that we have to make those decisions. Michael is in a point right now where he is a wonderful fan. He will sit there and he will jam out. But we are on the verge I don't know how this season's going to go for football. I'm very nervous about it, actually, because more so Mackenzie. Like, we've got feral 2-year-old that just wants to climb. Like, she will run out onto that field. And Michael wants to be along with Mackenzie now. We're previewing it during baseball season. We're lucky enough where they play. There is a playground right in the middle of both fields.
Oh, nice.
So strategically, I can do this.
Sure.
And watch. But I will say this was the first time that William said to me, you probably didn't even see any of my game because you were with Michael. And I was like, oh, we're starting to get into that now.
It's really hard.
We're starting to get that vocalized. We haven't gotten to that point yet that I was like, ugh. And then it's like, well, buddy, I tried to watch as much as I could. But then they turn a corner and he was like, look at him. He's going up there all by himself. Good job, Michael.
Yeah.
So it's like they recognize it, but they also see and understand too. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both worlds. What are some things that Grant just loves to do?
He loves, currently we're in the phase where he loves a ball. We have just a patio over the back of the house, and he throws that ball on the patio and it rolls back to him. He would do that for hours.
Love it.
A day. He just giggles like that. It comes back and sometimes hits him in the face.
I love it.
He just giggles, but and anything where he can climb, jump, swing, anything there where he can get some kind of sensory input. And he loves the water.
Yes, same. Michael is all about the water. We got a pool last year.
That's amazing.
From our friends at Make-A-Wish, and we're very excited about that. And I am thrilled for this summer for Michael because I think he is just going to be over the moon excited getting into this pool. And the best thing for me about it is it's something they can all do together.
Absolutely.
That does not require very limited adaptations to anything. Like they're just playing in a pool together. So, Grant, we're right there with you with the water.
You'll, not to interrupt you, but you'll appreciate this story real quick just because it's a little bit funny. So Grant does love water, and I always want us to do something together. So we recently went to Disney for the first time.
You told me about the Disney. Like, I didn't hear about the trip, but you told me about it, and that gives me anxiety.
It was something, and I'm so glad that we did it. And it was the first time that we all have been together on vacation in a really long time.
That's amazing.
And the reason is because we usually go to the beach, and Grant hates the sand. So he generally will stay with my mom and dad. He loves to be with my mom and dad. They spoil him rotten. Yes. It's like this. It's great for him, great for everybody else. Fine, whatever. We go to Disney. I pick that we're going to stay at the beach club because they have this fabulous pool. They have this lazy river that goes the whole way through, the whole 9 yards. We get there on day one. He jumps into the pool. The entire bottom of the pool is covered in sand.
Surprise, Grant.
Oh, Audrey. Just losing his mind.
Who put this here?
Losing his mind. I clearly did not do enough research.
But talk about what special needs parents have to look into. Who would think that you would have to look up that there is sand in the pool?
Like the whole pool, sand at the bottom. And that's like the one thing that sent him right over the edge. And as soon as he jumped in and his feet touched, I'm like, oh my gosh. How is this possible?
What is happening right now?
So he does love water, but he doesn't like the sand. So, but that's just, you think you plan and it doesn't always work out.
You have to pivot all the time. Ross Geller is in my mind 24/7 where it's just like pivot. Yep. Like that is our lives. Yeah. That is totally our lives. Oh my gosh. So how did the rest of the week go? So Grant obviously didn't go back in that pool.
No, not unless someone was holding him so that his feet didn't touch the bottom. So fortunately there was like a smaller, like at one tiny smaller pool that my parents would often just bring him over to and whatnot. So it was fine.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure that the trip went well though. Like that brought you joys to be together as a family. That's a big thing for us too. We try to be together all the time. And I actually have to get better at stepping back being like, it's okay if we're not though.
Yes.
I force it. I definitely force it a lot. Ours was a band concert last night that I was like, Michael is coming to this band concert because he deserves to be there. Yeah. And he did very well. And it was the first time we took him without his adaptive stroller.
Oh.
And so Pat's like, He's like, should have probably let him home or brought the stroller. And I was like, you're right. But it's fine. We're here now. Yeah. And the problem is that Mackenzie wants to be on my lap. and Michael wants to be here. And Michael doesn't like it when he's sharing mother with her.
Gotcha.
And he is the grabber phase. So, and Mackenzie's perfect because he just goes right on top of her head and pulls her hair. And yeah, we managed. We did well. He did do very, very great. He likes the music and he likes to do that. And now his new clapping thing is this. So he was doing this for Patrick. And like, I could tell he was excited.
Sure.
But I need to get better at forcing the situations.
Yeah.
I need to not force it. Like, it's okay if he can't go to the band concert.
Yes. Yeah. I had to get to a place where I realized that Grant is also not happy doing these things.
Yes.
And he is happier being at home and loved and cuddled and doing something that he enjoys. And so all parties are more happy being separate. But I was like, I also did the same thing for a while. But I will say at Disney was the first time that our family of 6 has gone into a restaurant together and sat and ate in probably 6 years.
That's amazing.
I mean, there was no chance that my 13-year-old was going into any restaurant with Grant.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But at Disney, 1, he knew he had to do it.
Yeah.
And 2, there was nobody there that he was worried about or whatever.
Right.
And I was just so happy that all of us were in the same place at the same time. Was it perfect? No, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And so even for him, I think that was great because I think he started to realize like, oh, this is not so bad, you know?
Yeah.
Grant might have thrown the fork.
Yeah. Right.
A couple of times,
Yeah.
you know, whatever he can get his hands on, but it was okay.
And it's funny because, yeah, you do adapt. And I've also learned that I have to give people more credit because we do live in a society, in a world of, there are accepting people out there.
Sure.
There are people. And there are so many spectrums of different varying abilities within the community that, like, Michael didn't want to sit down at this band concert last night. He was standing. He was kicking his feet. He was moving because he has to be in a constant state of motion. And there was a family in front of us and like right beside us. And he had dropped his binky because he has to have a binky in his mouth. It's his oral fixation. It's what he wants. And he had dropped something and they picked it up. I was like, I'm so sorry. They're like, you're fine. They're like, you're good. I was like, okay. Because I find myself apologizing
All
for
the
him
time.
all the time. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I can't help it. Like, and it's just learning like, okay, yeah, no, I don't need to apologize for him. He's doing what he needs to do. He's fine. He's not being that disruptive. Like, and whenever we were leaving, the woman in front of us, she was like a grandmother and she was like, you did so great.
Oh, that's so
And
nice.
I was just like, that was, and talking directly to him and he had a big smile on his face. Like, and it was just, you know, I got to give more people credit because I think for us, the days are very long, but they don't necessarily feel as lonely when you know somebody else knows what you're going through. And that's what I feel for you, friend, because I know you get it. And I hope that everybody in our positions can find their community.
Absolutely.
Can find their people. Because that was a big thing with you, with me too, with the LGS community. You're like, join this group, join this Facebook group, find this website, do this stuff. And I do find so much comfort in these posts that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the same thing. Or when they ask about medications or when they, you know, these questions come up and it's just like, yes, oh yeah, I've been through that. Like, it's just comforting to know that there's other people just like you out there.
Yep.
And we can all get through it together for sure. Kayla, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
On the Long Days Big Love podcast here at Studio 77. We loved having you.
Thank you.
Make sure that you guys like, subscribe, follow. Visit our website, longdaysbiglove.com, and we'll see you next time.